Welcome to the Morning Edition Extra. I'm Adelmi Ruiz coming to you from the digital desk at Alaska's News Source. Good morning, good Tuesday morning, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. And starting us off, we have meteorologist Aaron Morrison, who's going to give us a breakdown over what our weather is going to look like. Aaron.
Well, we do have several first alert weather days across the state. We've got one for today across South Central, one out towards Southwest Alaska, and then as we welcome in our Wednesday and Friday through the interior, we've also got some first alert weather days that will go into effect as well. Freezing rain looks likely today across parts of South Central, with areas of the Kuskokwim Delta out towards Southwest Alaska seeing some significant icing, as well as some windy conditions, which will lead to some blizzard conditions across parts of Southwest. And through the interior, we'll be watching some significant snowfall. Of course, the most single-day snow that Fairbanks has seen is 3 inches, and we'll watch for that potential, if not slightly higher amounts, Wednesday, with the coldest air of the season arriving into the weekend. So multiple weather alerts across the state, from winter weather advisories to winter storm warnings, as well as some ice storm warnings as you head out towards Southwest. This is where we could see at peak amounts up to 3/4 of an inch. I think most locations up under the ice storm warning will see about 3/10 of an inch, but we do have that potential that we could see some significantly higher amounts. And of course, areas further north through the Yukon Delta, Middle Kuskokwim Valley, 4 to 8 inches of snow with ice accumulation up to 2/10 of an inch. And then through the interior, we're going to be watching 4 to 8 inches of snowfall. So there's our area of low pressure. We're watching out towards the Aleutians. On the backside of that low, we've already got winds coming in out of the north. That's driving in some of those stronger winds up to about 50 to 70 miles per hour. That's leading to blizzard conditions north and west of Bethel. Meanwhile, south and east of Bethel, we've got that south to southeasterly flow. That's driving in warmer weather, and that's leading to that freezing rain and significant ice concern that we're watching for parts of southwest Alaska. So that's what we're going to be watching throughout the day. Of course, winds so far this morning have already been gusting anywhere from about 40 to 80 miles per hour. Bethel, those winds 43 miles per hour. Out towards Cold Bay, 61 miles per hour. So we're really going to see some of these strong gusty winds sticking around today through really from areas south of the Seward Peninsula out towards southwest through the Aleutians and out over the open waters of the Bering. Now, when it comes to that significant icing event, notice for locations along and southeast of Bethel. This includes Akiak, Aniak, out towards areas of the Middle Kuskokwim Valley. This is where we are going to be watching that potential for some significant icing. Now, it's really going to be a fine line where we're going to see that greatest concern, but from Kipnuk out towards Bethel, do take note that you will see that potential for some of that ice accumulation, which could lead to some power outages, very slick boardwalks, as well as some of those hazardous road conditions. Now, in addition to that, we're also going to see the return to some colder weather arriving as the week draws to a close. Temperatures drop down into the single digits with sub-zero values. Breezy winds, though, will keep wind chills well below zero as we welcome in the weekend and early next week. So that's the first alert weather day for Southwest. Meanwhile, across the rest of the state, as this system continues to remain with us, we've got snow building into the Yukon Delta, Norton Sound, out towards Galena and through the a good portion of the interior. This is where we're going to be watching 4 to 8 inches of snowfall, which will stick around from our Tuesday night on into Wednesday. And then colder weather spills in from the north. That's going to erode away that cloud deck and lead to some of the coldest air of the season. So that's the first alert weather day for the interior, which really goes into effect for your Wednesday. And then that colder weather arrives as we welcome in Friday. So 19 degrees Wednesday with that snow expected. Temperatures steadily drop. There's the coldest air of the season as we welcome in Friday. Now, the coldest high that Fairbanks has seen so far this season is -1. Overnight lows certainly have been colder. And right now we're forecasting about a low of 20 below Friday night into Saturday. But some areas of the interior will see lows anywhere from about 20 to 30 below, if not colder. So that's what we're going to be watching in terms of that colder weather and snow. You can see again 3 to 8 inches for areas north, northwest of Fairbanks, while areas south and southeast of Fairbanks see about 1 to 3 inches with some locally heavier amounts. So a multitude of impacts across the state here over the next couple of days. You can see as this system winds down and we transition into next week, Colder weather will grip a good portion of the state. We'll even see that here in South Central. Of course, we do have that first alert weather day today for that freezing rain, which will likely stick around through mid-morning. That winter weather advisory expires at noon, and then we'll see a gradual transition to some cold rain, but those slick and icy roads will continue to remain with us. A chance for some snow Thursday, and then temperatures drop. Not the coldest air of the season for us here in South Central. That will remain far off to the north, but we will tap into some of that colder weather as highs drop into the teens and overnight lows in the single digits. Adelmi?
Thank you, Aaron. And as Aaron mentioned, the southwest side of the state has been under an ice storm warning since about 3 a.m. The Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta could see up to 3/4 of an inch of ice, and while that's not unusual for the area, it still presents risks and could even potentially impact recovery efforts after Typhoon Halong. Aside from the obvious slipping hazard, ice can lead to power outages and car accidents. Paired with high winds, a storm warning could also affect schools. The Lower Kuskokwim School District includes Bethel and a region of the size of West Virginia, meaning that decisions on delays or school closures are largely made on a local basis.
One of the most recent ice storms we had, an ice event that happened last December, took out a transformer by our district office, and we had a heck of a time keeping schools warm because it was also very, very cold. Folks in Quaker who are at the school trying to rebuild the community are facing a water situation there at the school that we have no way of fixing right this second. So the real impact to this storm is that the efforts to rebuild are put on hold for a minute while people are just trying to survive.
In the bigger picture, the ice means planes often won't fly, delaying the transportation of supplies needed to rebuild and repair the communities affected by Typhoon Halong in October. Sweet said that decisions on any closures or delays will be made after assessing the extent of the ice in the region. The warning went into effect at 3 a.m. just this morning and extends to 9 a.m. tomorrow. As we learn more, we'll continue to keep you updated, so make sure to check our website for the latest information. And Representative Delaney Johnson of Palmer is now the House Minority Leader. Her appointment comes amid tension after former Minority Leader Mia Costello told Alaska's news source that Johnson and Representative Will Stop threatened to vote her out before she left her seat. In a statement, Johnson says she stepped up to help stabilize the caucus. The caucus also selected Representative Justin Ruffridge of Soldotna as Minority Whip. Electric rates, gas supply, renewable energy projects are among a number of big issues facing Alaska's electric utilities. Chugach Electric CEO Arthur Miller discussed these topics and other major projects and plans for Alaska's largest electric utility at this week's Make It Monday forum with the Alaska Chamber of Commerce. Among those projects and plans are a solar project updating the southern transmission line to the Kenai Peninsula and building an operations center at Cooper Landing. Miller said the most important is undertaking the natural gas supply.
And we certainly support, in-state development of natural gas, and we want to position our association to ensure reliability over the long term.
Miller said other areas of interest are changes in the electric power industry, like decentralization of the power grid and a heightened interest in decarbonization. And 1 in 4 drivers admit to texting while driving, according to a new survey from the Consumer Affairs. In this Watching Your Wallet, consumer investigator Rachel DePompa looks into several alarming findings from the survey and what it means for securing your safety and avoiding a costly crash.
Consumer Affairs looked at 1,000 licensed U.S. drivers to measure their knowledge of traffic laws and look at their driving habits. Dana Edens with Consumer Affairs says besides drivers admitting to being on their phone and texting while driving, They also found that drivers think going a few miles over the speed limit is safe, more than 80% being okay with going up to 5 to 9 miles over. There's also confusion over basic rules of the road.
And we found that nearly half of people do not know that 0.08 is the legal BAC or blood alcohol content. And that's just a critical piece of information. If you don't know that, you could be unintentionally putting yourself and others at risk just operating and starting that car, starting your engine.
Eden says they also found 1 in 5 drivers do not know what to do at a 4-way stop. Who has the right of way? She says the good thing here is the number of people who don't know these things is still small.
So there is still like 75–60+% of people who do actually understand what's supposed to be going on behind the wheel, but it just takes that one person to cause one traffic accident or one traffic jam that can become a snowball effect for everybody else.
Eden says these are all good reminders to just stay alert every time you are behind the wheel. You always need to understand the responsibility you're taking when you start that engine. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb or just turn it off so you're not putting yourself or others at risk. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
And when Alaskans apply for a driver's license, their information is also sold to third parties, such as LexisNexis and Carfax. Investigate TV, which works with Alaska's news source, filed public record requests with all 50 DMVs and asking how much money was collected, what is done with the money, and where was information sold, and if consumers can opt out. Our investigative team worked to uncover how much Alaska has collected.
Alaskans love driving. Our cars, trucks, fancy new vehicles, and old beaters. According to state data, most people in Alaska drive to work alone. The average commute, almost 20 minutes. And most households have 2 cars, which is higher than most in the country. All that to say, a lot of us have a driver's license. But did you know the information you gave the DMV is sold?
My reaction is red hot. I'll be glad when we can put it into our wallet of our phone, but I do not want anybody else getting that information if I didn't authorize it. So there you go.
I've learned that a long time ago.
Does it bother you or are you fine with it?
Everybody else gets it somehow or another, so, it doesn't make any difference to me. I mean, it is what it is.
Alaska's news source partners at Investigate TV compiled a list of states that sell your information to third parties. Last year, 16 companies bought your information for more than $2 million. LexisNexis has paid the most since 2019. The grand total? More than $9 million. Is it fine with you or does it bother you that the DMV sells your information?
I feel like it's not right.
I do have LifeLock, so hopefully that's protecting, but yeah, they probably shouldn't be doing that.
Federal law makes selling your information legal. The Driver's Privacy Protection Act, passed in 1994, protects driver information, but also carved out 14 exceptions called permissible uses. It's used for background checks, insurance, debt collections, and private investigations.
I'm not too happy about it.
No. What are your concerns? If faces could tell a story.
People just don't need to know.
But DMVs across the country reject the idea they are selling information. They say federal law allows them to charge fees to cover the cost of maintaining records. Alaska's DMV declined an on-camera interview, but says the money is put in the general fund, and if there are concerns about privacy, it will be investigated. From the 23 states that provided records, at least $282 million was collected nationwide. For Alaska alone, from 2019 to now, more than $16 million. Rebecca Pulsha, Alaska's news source.
If you have a tip for our investigative team, you can reach them at 2investigates@ktuu.com. The Fairbanks North Star Borough School District is reviewing its policy on library materials, with some hoping to see restrictions placed on what they deem obscene and inappropriate for students. The review comes as the district looks to update to a format used statewide by the Alaska Association of School Boards. A school board meeting with planned public testimony is scheduled for today to discuss the banning of certain books. The district says the policy section being considered also includes curriculum and other district operations.
In my opinion, the library policy is fine as it stands. It conforms to standards for the industry, best practices, and we have a very robust process that outlines what parents can do if they have concerns about specific books.
I'm not really a book burner or up for banning anything that says the word sex. However, I have come across books that definitely need to be removed from the school library shelf.
We're told public testimony will be heard at today's meeting. The policy section being discussed also includes curriculum and other district operations. A new court challenge puts Alaska's wildlife management back under the microscope. At issue is whether the state is following its constitutional duty to protect renewable resources for the long haul. The lawsuit claims the Board of Game's predator control plan falls short, arguing it doesn't set clear safeguards for bear populations or limit how long the program can run. Supporters of the plan say the state has the data it needs and is operating responsibly. Justin Matson breaks down the arguments and what it could all mean for a caribou herd in western Alaska.
At the heart of the debate is the Sustainable Yield Clause, which states renewable resources must be managed in a way so they remain productive over time. According to the latest lawsuit, the state is in violation of that clause in two different ways.
They did not identify any minimum population objectives for bears, brown or black bears. How you sustainably manage any population without having a minimum population objective.
Commissioner Doug Vincent Lang, one of the defendants in the suit, says specific numbers aren't required under the Sustainable Yield Clause.
We routinely manage a lot of bear populations across the state without having specific thresholds for bear numbers or having bear surveys. We just need to be assured that we can sustain those populations over time.
The suit also argues the plan runs through 2028 without any mechanism to stop it if bear numbers drop below levels needed for long-term sustainability in the nearly 44,000 square miles where the culling occurs.
They have shot almost 200 bears now, and they still don't have a population objective for what's left. And they don't have any sustainability objective for what's the minimum number of bears that we need to have a sustainable population. And that's a population that lives in perpetuity for the next generation and can sustain itself.
The commissioner says that when the Board of Game reinstated the program, the department presented new data that directly addressed the lawsuit's concerns, including questions about the size of the area covered.
We are taking bears off a very small area of the overall bear range in this area, and we're convinced that we haven't yet seen any impact on sustainability of bears in the area. We don't know exactly where the caribou are going to calve every year. So we have a large area where they've historically calved, but we only operate in the calving area.
The legal battle over the predators is to help bring the Mulchatna caribou herd back to sustainable levels for subsistence users. I'm Justin Matson for Alaska's News Source.
I guess
Across America, they are tasked with finding fugitives who skipped out on court while out on bond. Commonly referred to as bounty hunters, these law enforcement lookalikes oftentimes carry badges and guns with them. But our national investigative team uncovered these individuals often lack training, and patchy regulations can lead to rogue roundups from coast to coast. Here's national investigative reporter Chris Nakamoto.
I guess the craziest story was North Louisiana, about 5 o'clock in the evening, waiting on a gentleman to come home. We see the truck. We're sitting at a volunteer fire department. Truck pulls in front of us, goes to the house. We wait 15, 20 minutes, let them get in, get settled. We head to the house. Well, I go around to the back because behind the house is absolutely nothing but cane fields. So if this guy runs in that cane field, gets by me, he's gone. So father-in-law approached the front. I can hear them talking. So I come walking around the side of the house. Grandma or mom raised up a double-barrel shotgun, goes, "Where'd you come from?" And I pretty much froze at that point. I was very glad to make it home that night. And we got him and brought him back with us.
For nearly 3 decades, Alan Hudson has earned a living following fugitives who flee. He's among the nation's estimated 15,000 fugitive recovery agents, also known as bounty hunters, who are tasked with locating individuals who have skipped out on their day in court. His wife Michelle is also in the industry, a second-generation fugitive recovery agent.
Yes, there are a lot of bounty hunters or alleged bounty hunters that have made the mistakes that has caused the industry a bad name.
The bad name she's referring to is a stigma caused by rogue roundups, from wrong house raids to shots fired. From Texas to New York, news reports around the country detail dangerous situations where those roundups went wrong. In Dallas this year, police locked up 3 bounty hunters on felony charges, accused of arresting and kidnapping the wrong man. In Louisiana, police arrested 3 bounty hunters, charging them with felonies after they allegedly kicked in the door of an LSU graduate student. She locked herself in the bathroom of her apartment, and prosecutors say they kicked that door in too, before realizing they were at the wrong apartment. And when weapons are involved, the tension only grows. In New York, a conviction. An unlicensed bounty hunter sentenced to 2 months in prison when he went into the wrong complex armed with a long gun. In Houston, a 2021 raid at the wrong place resulted in shots fired and 3 bounty hunters arrested.
Do you just not do it, or what do you do? Because we're seeing time and time again where people go into the wrong house.
If you're not 110% sure the person you are looking for is behind that closed door, you don't go in. They think they can come in like the old Wild Wild West and just come in, grab somebody, and bust down a door and go, "Oh, I'm sorry, it was the wrong door."
Our national investigative team found many of these problems may be attributable to spotty and inconsistent regulations across the nation when it comes to bounty hunting. Illinois, Kentucky, Massachusetts, Oregon, and Wisconsin have completely or effectively outlawed the practice of commercial bail bonds and fugitive recovery.
Josephine, can you come to the door, please?
And she's here, why? Why'd she come to Oregon?
She's here because she believes that we're not going to come up here and come get her. So.
And what kind of authority do you have to go get her?
None.
So what are you doing here then?
Well, we're just going to ask her politely if she'd like to come with us.
Where it is allowed, the practice isn't always regulated. We found more than a quarter of states, shown here in red, have no rules on the books specific to bounty hunting.
Well, a man has been arrested after the Shiawassee County Sheriff's Office says that he tried to pull over other drivers, claimed to be a bounty hunter.
While these in yellow regulate it by limiting permission to licensed bond persons or private investigators.
While they don't need to get a warrant the way the police do, the agent will have to have documents relevant to this case when they apprehend someone.
In states that do have laws specific to bounty hunting, many require some form of licensure, often overseen by the State Department of Insurance. But there is still a patchwork of rules. While most require bounty hunters be felony-free and spend some number of hours in training classes, even the minimum age and what they can call themselves can vary. For example, in Arkansas, it is illegal to identify yourself as a bounty hunter, but in neighboring Tennessee, that title must be prominently displayed on an agent's clothing. Many agents are allowed to wear tactical gear, carry IDs that look like badges, and keep guns strapped to their side, making them often look like the police but without the same training and guardrails.
What do you think needs to change?
What I think needs to change is regulation of fugitive recovery agents in general.
This man is a member of the National Association of Fugitive Recovery Agents, a trade organization for the bail bond fugitive recovery industry, also known as NAFRA. He did not want his face on camera, asking not to be identified due to the sensitivity of his work with wanted suspects. He would like to see a federal mandate blocking bounty hunters from dressing up as the police, something that only a handful of state regulations directly address.
They need to be regulated and not be allowed to wear that kind of stuff or go in guns blaring, going in what's called hot.
We try to maintain professional standards throughout the industry.
Chuck Jordan is the president of NAFRA. For years, he's been trying to get more uniform standards on the books.
We have advocated to try to have some consistency in the regulations throughout the U.S.
Regulations that would apply across America to stop what's been happening from coast to coast.
In some states, they are lightly regulated or, not regulated at all for the most part.
In recent years, his organization approached members of Congress to make changes, but his push fell on deaf ears, and no one was interested in making changes to the $2 billion industry.
But as far as getting all the different states on board, it's quite difficult to get everybody on the same page.
While there are no federal regulations on bounty hunting, Jordan says they can revoke memberships to their organization.
There's around 20 people nationwide that are suspended or revoked as far as their memberships go.
If someone is convicted or accused of excessive force, or if an individual is arrested and charged with misconduct related to their work.
That's something that we keep internally, and then somebody would have to make an inquiry to, check to see if they were in good standing, in order to, learn that information.
Although the number of violent encounters are slim compared to the amount of fugitives who are arrested without incident, Jordan says the failure to address problems allows those who get in trouble in some states to go elsewhere and continue working. State regulators could check with his organization before licenses are issued, but he says they don't.
And we would certainly be open to that, but normally if we have a contact through from the government, it's somebody in law enforcement, there's been some sort of an issue and they're asking us if this person is a member in good standing. That's usually the point of inquiry that we would have.
For Alan Hudson and his wife Michelle, who work on the front lines, they strive to be careful and aware.
You don't just run in somewhere thinking you know best and you don't know best. That's either you're going to get killed or somebody else is going to get killed, and we don't want that bad stigma on the recovery agent's name.
A complex pre-trial hearing could shape how the prosecution of Luigi Mangione unfolds. Mangione is accused of fatally shooting the CEO of United Health outside a Manhattan hotel last year. This hearing, which will focus on whether any evidence or statements were obtained illegally, could last at least a week. Mangione's attorneys argue the contents of a red notebook that was allegedly found in his backpack should not be admitted into evidence, saying that they would irreparably prejudice Mr. Mangione at his upcoming trials. 27-year-old Mangione has pleaded not guilty to 9 state counts, as well as 4 federal charges filed separately. The federal charges come with the possibility of the death penalty.
An investigation into Senator Mark Kelly, the Arizona Democrat, now speaking out. Alaska's news source Washington correspondent Emma Wolfhorst joining us from D.C. Emma, you were there. What did Senator Kelly have to say?
Well, John, Kelly said that this whole situation is not about him or the other 5 lawmakers who appeared in the social media video telling military members to ignore illegal orders. He says the Trump administration is trying to send a message to silence those who disagree with them. Kelly called Trump a bully and said he abuses his power to intimidate people. He also discussed his family's own experience with political violence and said the threats on his family and to his office have gone up since the president's comments. Kelly explained he learned about Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's investigation from his social media post on X, formerly Twitter. And Kelly says that's the only notification his office has received about the investigation so far.
Now, Congress has opened bipartisan investigations after a report said the U.S. targeted survivors of a strike on an alleged drug boat. Emma, what are lawmakers asking for?
Well, John, they want to know the details into what happened, how and when it happened, and what orders were given here. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said the Armed Services Committee, which is conducting this investigation, should demand Hegseth release the video of the strike and testify under oath. The allegations here, which caused these probes, were reported by the Washington Post. Their investigation said defense officials gave a verbal order to leave no survivors after an initial strike in September on a suspected drug smuggling boat in the Caribbean. Now, both Democrats and Republicans have voiced their concerns about the legality of this second attack. We also now know Navy Vice Admiral Frank Bradley will provide a classified briefing to lawmakers this Thursday. The White House says Bradley is the one who ordered the follow-up attack.
In other international news, after what the White House is calling a productive meeting with Ukrainian negotiators, U.S. officials now on their way to Russia to meet with President Putin. Emma, what do they hope comes out of this meeting?
Well, the U.S. is really trying to nail down and finalize this deal. They spoke with Ukrainian officials for about 4 hours Sunday. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told reporters the session went well, but he said a lot of work still needs to be done. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky echoed that optimistic tone and said the progress is good. Revisions are being made to Trump's plan. Some say the U.S. deal, some including Ukraine, say the deal favors Russia too heavily. Now, President Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff, as well as Jared Kushner, are scheduled to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow today.
And finally, Emma, back here at home, Luigi Mangione, the man accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson last year, was back in court. What was this hearing about?
Well, this was because Mangione's defense team wants to exclude certain evidence from the trial. That includes a 9mm handgun and a notebook, they say, because the police didn't have a search warrant. Both those items were found in a backpack on Mangione when he was arrested. And his lawyers say this was unconstitutional police conduct, which threatens Mangione's right to a fair trial. What happened was in the state murder trial. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to state and federal murder charges. He faces life in prison for the state charges, and prosecutors are seeking the death penalty in the federal case. Now, neither trial has been scheduled yet. The next hearing in the federal case will be January 9th.
Alaska's news source, Washington correspondent Emma Woolforce in D.C. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
And Starbucks will pay about $35 million to more than 15,000 New York City workers. Officials say the money will settle claims that the coffee giant denied employees stable schedules and arbitrarily cut their hours. Starbucks must also pay $3.4 million in civil penalties. New York City officials began investigating Starbucks in 2022 after dozens of complaints from Starbucks workers around the city. Officials say the probe found the company routinely denied workers a chance to pick up extra shifts, leaving workers involuntarily in part-time status. Starbucks said it is committed to operating responsibly and in compliance with local laws and regulations, but said the city's employment laws are complex. The agreement with New York comes as a Starbucks union continues a nationwide strike at dozens of locations. And Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani had this to say.
For decency. These are workers who are simply being asked to be treated with the respect that they deserve. They're being asked that their labor be repaid in a manner that allows them to build a dignified life. And I join them because I want to do everything that I can to show my solidarity. These are demands for decency.
And it's officially December, with that time of year filled with family and traditions. But for some, those who have lost a loved one, the holidays can bring sadness. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has ways to cope with grief during a time that's supposed to be filled with happiness.
It's the season of joy and happiness. But if you're grieving a loss, the holidays may also bring sorrow and pain.
While the holidays can be a wonderful time, it can also bring up memories of lost family members, which we know can then exacerbate potential feelings of sadness, feelings of hurt, disappointment, and potential anger.
Clinical psychologist Adam Borland with Cleveland Clinic says it's important to recognize that this time of year can be difficult, whether it's your first holiday without a loved one or you've grieved through multiple ones. It's okay to feel sad this time of year.
Communicate with your support system. If you're feeling this way, it's likely that another family member is also feeling this way.
Experts say understanding that feelings of sadness may be heightened this time of year can be reassuring, so express those feelings to someone you trust. and be flexible with holiday traditions. Family members may need to manage expectations regarding those rituals. You can also start new ones, honoring the lost loved one.
Focus on the happy memories that you had with this individual. Maybe look at some photographs, maybe exchange stories.
Focus on coping skills that have helped you in the past and recognize that you can hold more than one feeling at a time. Finally, intentionally care for yourself. Experts say it can be helpful to make a checklist of healthy habits.
It's okay to feel this way. It's okay to miss that person. And if it gets to a point where it's really problematic, you can speak with a trained mental health professional.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The National Council on Aging says for those who are grieving, it's also important to plan ahead and set boundaries. If you can't handle an event or a get-together over the holidays, it's okay to choose not to participate. And switching gears, you've seen Santa on a sleigh, but now check out Santa on his reed boat. These artisan fishermen dressed up as Santa himself and took to the waters, offering free rides on the traditional reed boats to kick off the coastal town's Christmas season. The festive activity, organized by the Juan Chaco municipality, delighted locals alike as the red-suited Santas paddled along iconic reed boats, ancient watercraft used by fishermen along Peru's northern coast for years. Back home here in Alaska, Hilltop Ski Area is open for action after opening day last Friday. The general manager says that it is the earliest they've opened in several years, and they saw a pretty good crowd. Around 2,400 guests visited from Friday to Sunday. Hilltop is open 7 days a week, but right now only about 15% of the trails are open. The general manager says they're making snow as fast as possible, so even if there's no snow in your yard, there may be snow at Hilltop, so you're encouraged to check out the website. And there's a chance to get up close and personal with your favorite Wolverines this week. Anchorage Hockey is taking over the Diamond Center rink this Wednesday for another edition of Skate with the Wolverines. Admission and skate rentals are free, so bring some Sharpies for autographs and some extra excitement. The action kicks off Wednesday at 4 p.m. And that wraps up the Morning Edition Extra for this Tuesday morning. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you back here at noon for the latest in news, weather, and more. Have a good day.